MPH Sports Podcast. Talk sport and property with sports people discussing their careers and how property played a part in it.
Joel Ward, welcome to Talk Sport and Property. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Lee. Very well.
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
Good. Oh, no, listen, it's our pleasure. Thank you for joining us. You've not travelled with the squad today to Newcastle?
No, I picked up a little bit of a knock that's going to keep me out for a few days, but nothing too serious, thankfully.
Right.
Could have been worse. Yeah, really happy it's not.
Good. Well, we wish you a fast recovery. It's nice to see that your hair's growing back.
Zero.
I remember watching the game against Arsenal and thinking, wow, that's a change look. I've always been used to seeing you with hair.
I know, the locks are gone, mate. The locks are gone, but...
She likes the rough look, does she?
Well, I think she prefers me with my usual long lock, but no, it had to go. It was a bit of fun.
You're lucky you can pull it off.
Yeah.
Well, look, as you may have listened to the pod before, we talk about sport. We're going to talk about property split into two halves, followed by some fun questions in between. So let's talk about your career to start with. Born in Chichester, 376 games in professional football, 12 goals. But it all started back in 2006 at the Portsmouth Academy. How old were you when you joined, and where did it all start for you before that?
Well, I hope you're getting comfy.
I am comfy, yeah. I've got a cup of tea, I've got water, I'm all ready.
You've got your pillow as well.
I have got my pillow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I joined Portsmouth when I was, I think, 8, going on 9. Went through the whole school years, schoolboys, Centre of Excellence down there. And then, it wasn't until, like you said, until 16 that I kind of left school and went into my full scholarship. So, it was a big change. A dream come true to be given the opportunity to step into full-time football and to give myself an opportunity to have a crack at becoming a professional footballer. Yeah,
I mean, it's every kid's dream, really, isn't it? One I had myself, unfortunately. Didn't quite work out, but still time. Yeah, maybe. I leave it through the kids now. So was you picked up as a defender, or was you picked up in a different position and then adapted to full-back? Or
I think my versatility has followed me from an early age. When I was young, I used to play in midfield, kind of in the centre of the park, playing in there. And then as time went on through my scholarship, I kind of dropped back into centre-back. And then that's kind of where they saw me developing. And then through various loans and games and what have you, played in various different positions. And then thankfully I've carved out a career at predominantly right-back.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about your positions during this pod, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you signed your first professional contract in 2008. I mean, what a fantastic feeling that must have been for like you and your family. As you say, it's every kid's dream. It must be a very special moment.
Yeah, I remember it really clearly, actually. We were all kind of being told at the same sort of time. So you kind of got given a time slot and pulled up at the offices at just outside Fratton Park and went in to see the management at the time of the academy, who was kind of like Paul Hart and Ian Wone and those guys. And they said, listen, we'll give you a pro contract, which was, I tried to contain the smile and the excitement, but it was, I was over the moon and knew I was only on the very first step of a long ladder, but I was on the ladder to as a start.
What was it like? I remember many years ago, where, being at football in the crowds, they would bring the newly signed academy boys onto the pitch and they would walk around. Is that an experience that you had, or did you sign your contract on the pitch? Or
yeah, no, we've done that, and we've done a kind of photo shoot in the stands. I mean, I'm pretty sure the photos circulate somewhere, and I'll tell you what, the fashion sense back then of the lads was absolutely dire.
I can imagine.
I think I probably was, double hand-me-downs from my older brother, trying to make sure I tried to fill him out. But yeah, no, it was, we had a little walk around, I think. Yeah, I mean, it seems a long time ago now.
Yeah, I bet it does. So tell me how life started for you at Portsmouth, mate. From memory, looking at some stats here, you went on loan to Bournemouth.
I did, yeah, I did. So I went on loan in my first season as a pro. 2008, 2009. It was a year that they were minus 17 points. They started the season on minus 17. I think, was it Gillingham and Luton also started with minus points?
Okay.
Luton were 30 odd points to start the season with. So I think we got to 0 points around Christmas, around that sort of time,
Right.
and managed to stay up, which
Wow.
was a remarkable achievement from all the lads. Picked up an injury in that season midway through. I'd done all my ankle ligaments, but made it back for the last few games.
What does a loan move do to a young player like yourself back then in terms of their development and confidence, experience?
Yeah, I think going out on loan is massive, and it's invaluable, for your development and for young people's careers nowadays. I think, for me going out, it took me from being a boy to a man, learning my trade and learning what it meant to be fighting for, what your career and your livelihood is, on a weekly basis. So it certainly steps up the intensity, the pressure, and just in general, in all aspects of life, it kind of shapes you and matures you in ways that you hadn't really experienced before.
So did you end up moving? Did you stay in digs? Did you sort of crash at someone's house or in their room or something? What did you do?
I think I've been very fortunate. I grew up on the south coast, lived in Emsworth, Portsmouth, so I was living at home. When I moved to Bournemouth, I continued to live at home.
Okay.
I travelled, and there was a couple of players at the time, Lee Bradbury and Sammy Igo, who lived kind of Fareham way.
Yeah.
So we used to meet up at Whiteley in the morning and Carscall into training. So it was great actually, because obviously they helped me settle in as a young kid, and
brilliant.
Obviously a little bit older at that point. So it was nice to kind of have, some wise heads to guide me through my early stages of acting.
Yeah.
They didn't really want to get in my car though. I don't know why.
I've not seen you driving.
Well, no, it wasn't that. I think it was just because it was an old banger.
Well, I've seen your car now. I'm sure they're getting it now. Well, look, in April 2009, you made your Premier League debut for Portsmouth against Wigan, surprisingly as left back. Any pre-match nerves, and had you played left back before?
Yeah, I think I had. To be honest with you, like I said earlier, my versatility started when I was pretty young, so I played in a few different positions. But yeah, I mean, that night was pretty special up there. There was a few of us that made our debut, which was great. And for me, I think, yes, I was nervous, but I think I rested on the fact that I'd trained and done everything I can to give myself this opportunity, and this is what it was all about. So it was all about kind of seizing the moment for me to go out there and play on that stage was something that I had dreamt about for years. So I was kind of just elated to be walking across that white line with that Premier League badge on my arm and kind of just do what
you've been prepared to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the following season, you started as first choice right back, which was going to be your last season at Portsmouth. Did you feel that a move was on the cards at the end of that season, Joel? Or
but I actually had 2 seasons. So I had the season where I made my debut in the Premier League.
Okay.
And then there was 2 seasons in the Championship. And I think those 2 seasons were massive for me because they were 2010, 11 and 11, 12. They were huge because I think I played something like 92 games or something like that in those 2 seasons.
Yes, a lot of games, isn't it?
At right back, in centre midfield, obviously at that point in time, Portsmouth were going through some difficulties and financial difficulties, and which enabled me to play an awful lot of games. That's why I think it was such an incredible time at Portsmouth because, I got to learn so much in those years playing, and developing as a young man. And I think it was just incredible to be playing for my hometown club.
So did you grow up being a Portsmouth fan?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty fortunate at that because we were part of the academy and the School of Excellence. So we used to get a couple of tickets each match for home games. That was kind of our local team, and with my brother, who was also playing at the time, and for myself, we used to go down as as a family to watch and sit with the other School of Excellence lads, and we'd have a little section where we'd all be together watching games, and yeah, it was some great memories. And
I can imagine.
Yeah, on the pitch was even better.
May 2012, you signed for Crystal Palace Football Club in a move of £400,000. Was Crystal Palace the only club at the time that you were talking to, or was there a couple of other options that you had available to you and your family?
There was a few different options earlier on in the season. In January, there was a couple of different options that never came to fruition. And then in the summer, I was almost a done deal at Leeds, but I kind of had met with Palace as well and had got a really good feel. And Leeds were kind of saying, well, hold on, we want to make it work. And I had a feeling that for me it was the right move to sign for Palace. So I said to them, listen, I'm signing on the Monday, and that's going to be that. Looking back on it now, it's crazy, but what an incredible journey.
Yeah, no, well, it has been. I'm looking forward to talking to you more about it. I mean, as a football fan, where does a meeting like that been held? Is it in a hotel? Is it at the club? Is it with the chairman? Is it with the manager? Is it with your agent, your family? And if you're doing that with Leeds as well, what swayed you? Was it London? Was it the location?
Well, I went up to Leeds and had a look around there. An incredible club and incredible facilities and everything like that. And like I said, I think I was almost a done deal there, but time was kind of not on the side really, so it didn't really happen. And for me, when I kind of met with Dougie and spoke to the chairman and spoke to various different people at the club as well at the time, I just got a good feel with a plan and what was in place for the club. And I think as well, obviously the location was great. It was close to home, being able to get back to see the family, or the family coming up to see me. So there was a few different factors that played their part, and it's all worked out in the end.
Yeah, well, it did. I mean, how did life start for you at Crystal Palace, and what was the main difference between Crystal Palace for you and where you had come from at Portsmouth?
I think the way things initially started at Palace, obviously everything was great. I was really excited to hit the ground running, and we did. Obviously we started the season a bit slow. I was in and out of the team for the first period, and I think there was a little bit of me that kind of questioned at times what was going on. Had I made the right choice, everything like that run through your head, because I'd moved from a place where I had a familiar surrounding around me that I kind of grown up in. My family were all there. It was my hometown club being at Portsmouth, and I moved into a new environment, a new realm, a new place really. So I was living on my own at the time, and it was a little bit of a turbulent start. Once I found my feet and things started to move in the right direction, I never really looked back. And I think it was an incredible learning curve. Like I said, going out on loan was a learning curve. Moving to a new club, moving into something where I had to form my own identity as a man in a sense as well, was challenging, but it was something that was invaluable to my development and my experience and just general life experience as well.
Well, in your first season, you win promotion with Crystal Palace in a 2-1 win against Watford, and you have a memorable last-minute goal line clearance moment yourself.
What, sorry?
A last-minute goal line clearance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good moment. Was that your first time at Wembley? And if it was, I mean, what was it like to play in front of 82,000 people in a capacity stadium at Wembley Stadium against Watford?
It was a day that I will never forget.
Really?
Simple as that, really.
Talk me through it.
I've been to Wembley before as a fan.
Sure.
I've been to Wembley with the squad with Portsmouth, but that was more of being taken along for the experience. But to actually walk out there sends tingles down my back now, and my hair stand up on the back of my neck just thinking about it now and just reflecting on it. It was an incredible experience. And to walk out at what is the home of football in many ways something very, very special.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, as a football fan, we get it. So let alone walking out onto the famous pitch there. I mean, it must be just a whole nother level.
And I think we done something which was great, actually. We went to the stadium the day before.
Okay.
And had a walk around, went into the changing rooms.
Does that help as a player?
Yeah, I think so.
I bet.
We went out and you could see where all your family was going to be seated, and in Holloway thought that was a good thing to do, and it worked out that it was a very good thing to do, because the results speak for itself.
I was speaking to Jordan Cousins last week in our podcast about Ian Holloway. Crazy guy?
An enthusiastic.
Another word for crazy. I'd love to get him on the pod, actually.
Yeah, he's a really, really genuine guy and a vibrant, enthusiastic character.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, he's superb for the sport, isn't he? Okay, so look, you win promotion, and then in April 2015, you get offered a new 3.5-year contract, followed by another trip to Wembley against Manchester United. I mean, that's a cracking year for you, mate, isn't it?
It's not a bad year, definitely.
Another trip to Wembley, a new contract, in a club really, which was, as you say, you felt a little bit unsettled at the beginning, on and off the pitch. You've got to prove yourself, new people, new fans, new players, new management, and yet you've brought them all on the side to earn yourself another few years in the sport that you love. Yeah,
exactly. And I think for me, it was sort of about having that security and building, what has been a great journey. To go to Wembley again in a competition that is ingrained in English football was something special. Obviously, it's a bittersweet moment, an amazing achievement to get there, but to have it ripped from underneath you as well is devastating in the same breath. So there was mixed emotions on that day. Again, some unwanted photos circulating around the internet. But can you talk us through that game, the score?
Well,
I think obviously the moment and the occasion was massive. Once again, to obviously have the family there and everyone involved, to see the fans and the way in which they were at the stadium was incredible. So the game was pretty well balanced, I think, for the large majority of it. I remember obviously the goal, I put it back in and Punch taking his touch and put it in the back of the net, and unfortunately we just couldn't quite hold on to it. Obviously United piling on the pressure towards the back end of the game, and they came away with it. What was a great strike in the end, but it was a tough one to swallow because we were so close.
Where are the medals now?
They're actually in the room on the mantelpiece, so it's all framed up.
Oh, is it? Oh, brilliant. Yeah, lovely. Okay, well, I'll look forward to coming around and seeing that at some point. The following year, you held the record for the most Premier League appearances at Crystal Palace, achieving 100 appearances away to Arsenal. Was that something that you was aware of at the time?
To be honest with you, I'm not really a numbers man. So at that point, I wasn't really aware of it. But there was a few murmurs before the game and everything like that I was approaching that number, and for the club, it was the first time in the club's history someone had got to that many Premier League games. And I'm still up there now, which is great.
Well, we're gonna come on to that.
For me, I think it's numbers are amazing, and you've got to celebrate the achievements because they're obviously, you set goals and you set targets and everything, and it's a great thing to do. But I think for me right now, they're probably more important when I look back on them in years to come. Right now, I'm all about kind of just getting my head down.
Yeah, I know you are. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy our conversations, either pre-training or after training, and we have our conversations are in length. But you know what? Even I didn't know this. One of your fans has mentioned on social media today. He wanted me to ask you how proud you are to represent our club for more than 200 appearances and help maintain a Premier League status since 2012-2013. You're very well fond of.
Thank you. I mean, obviously, for me, it's been a like I've said before, an incredible journey. You know, to play the amount of games I have done for the club and to, you know, create history in a sense with the group of players that we have done. You know, in the first year and staying up in the Premier League was a massive achievement. And to continue that has been, you know, it's been a roller coaster at times, but it's been an incredible journey. And long may that continue. You know, I'm very grateful for the support that I've always been shown by the fans. It certainly doesn't go unnoticed.
Oh, I've got to ask you, are you planning on extending beyond this summer?
I think obviously, you know, it's down to the powers to be. That's the case. Hopefully, you know, there's many more years to come.
Good. So just to be clear, if they offer you a new deal, you're staying, right?
Let's do it.
Good. That's what we want to hear. Oh, we've got to end it on that note, haven't we? That's an exclusive right now. We've covered most of the sports side of things. We have got a few more questions to ask you before we turn to the property side, because I know you're another property enthusiast. So you ready for a quick question fire round?
Let's go. I'll try and be quick.
Yeah,
I don't know if I will be, but I'll try and be quick.
Okay, ready. Let's go. Best fullback in the Premier League?
Am I saying right back or left back?
It's up to you. Fullback, right back, left back?
Robbo. Andy Robbo's at Liverpool.
He's class, isn't he? Best player at Crystal Palace?
Best player, obviously our talisman. Wilf is obviously a frightening talent. You know, we've got some great players alongside him, even like Jeff and Jeffrey Sloop and those boys. So, but I'd say Wilf is our talisman.
Your favourite teammate?
That's tricky, but you know, I'm close with the likes, obviously Scott Dan, Martin Kelly, James MacArthur, and those boys. So
you've got to pick one.
Hold on a sec. Don't be like that.
Listen, we've got to get you into a little. I know you are. That's why I'm asking you to.
I'm going to draw the line at that.
All right, we'll let you off.
I don't want to upset anyone.
No, okay. Well, let's see if we can cause offence in this question. The funniest player you know in football?
Do you know what? I think Martin Kelly is a funny guy.
Is he?
Yeah, just he always puts a smile on my face and, you know, cracks me up at times. So I'd say Cowes is good value.
Okay, cool. We'll have to make sure he listens to this then. Name a manager you wish you could play under.
I've played under a few, so I've played under quite a few managers, but someone like Klopp would be interesting. I think his enthusiasm, encouragement, and everything like that you could feed off that.
Would you come back to Crystal Palace to coach or manage after retirement?
It would be something that I would certainly potentially look at, and consider.
Brilliant.
Depending on which path I may go down.
Perfect. Your favourite stadium?
Again, that's tough. Old Trafford and Anfield.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, aren't they?
Mm.
The match you look forward to when the fixture list comes out, which is the game you're thinking, I'm really looking forward to that one? And I know you look forward to all of them, but let's get one out of you.
I think obviously the club for fans and everyone like that, obviously Brighton's a massive game, derby. But my old man's a United fan, has been for many years. So coming up against them is always special.
The personal battle. Yeah, fantastic. Is that home or away?
Either.
Fantastic. If you wasn't a footballer, what would you be doing?
I would take Peter Crouch's answer to that, but it's already been taken. So I'd go for a slightly different avenue and say, I don't know, something along the lines of maybe a PE teacher or something like that.
Okay, I can see you being a good PE teacher, actually. What's your golf handicap?
I don't have an official, but if I'm playing regularly, then around 11.
Yeah, I hear you're better than that.
Well, I haven't played for coming up to a year now, so.
Which is also really annoying, because I was fortunate enough to play a lot of golf last summer, and I gradually got worse and worse. And then, I hear you're pretty good, and which we will play hopefully this summer when we're able to again.
I hope so. I'm not ready for a game.
Me too. Last question. How many properties were you buying this year?
How many fingers have you got?
That's the answer I was looking for.
Talk Sport and Property podcast, sponsored by MPH Sports Property Academy. Download the app today from the App Store or Google Play by typing in MPH Sports, the trusted go-to app for sports people looking to buy or learn about property.
Okay, Wardy, welcome back. I'm interested to know more about your property achievements, as you have always had an appetite for property, haven't you?
Yes, I have from pretty young. I think it was always installed in me about property. Something that was always going to be a pretty secure investment, providing you do it right, which hasn't always been the case for many people, and myself included in that. But yeah, I've always shown an interest in it, and it's always been something that I've wanted to get more involved in as the years have gone on.
So who was your inspiration behind this? Who kind of motivated you to consider property as a form of security?
I think, obviously families played a part in that. I didn't have anyone stand out, I think, who was massively into it. I just kind of, through friends, family, and people I knew who had obviously been involved in property or had been in the past, had always encouraged me to kind of go down that route. And that's kind of where it started, really, for me.
Let's talk about when it started. I mean, how old were you when you bought your first property, and where did you buy it?
I think it was in my, the year I made my debut.
Okay.
2009.
Yeah.
2009, somewhere around that.
Okay.
9, 10, something like that, I think it was. I bought a place down in Fratton. I actually bought it with my brother. I mean, you genuinely needed a mask when you walked into the place. It was pretty
grim,
disgusting, yeah. But it was a little project that we took on, and has been great ever since.
So this is a property that you bought with your brother.
Yes.
Which sounded like it was a complete and utter wreck.
Yep.
So you've gone in. What have you done to it?
Completely redone the whole thing, gutted it, done it up, and have rented it out ever since, really. So we've built 3-bed students and what have you over the years. So it's been a nice little property to have.
Yeah, but I want to talk more about that experience behind that, because what are you? You're then either a late teenager or early 20s, you're buying your first place with your brother, which is also quite a cool experience in itself as well. Did you have a plan of thinking, right, come on, bro, let's get our first property. We're looking to buy a renovation project. Never done this before. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yes and no.
Okay.
We kind of went into it with the view that obviously it's something that we've shared an interest in from pretty young and wanted to do. My old man was a bit of a handyman who enjoys projects and doing things, and he had done a couple of houses up in the past, so we knew that we could lean on him as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of comfort, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just something that we decided to go for. We got it at a good price, put a little bit of money into it to get it up and to a standard that was acceptable, and that was the first on the journey, I guess.
Okay, so what about your first home? When did you buy your first home?
I bought a house literally just before I left Portsmouth. That's actually rented out. But the first home that I bought, it was something that, for me, obviously, I met Jess and we were pretty young, and we got engaged and were planning to be married. And for me, I wanted to buy our first home together. So I had always envisioned that I'd buy my first home with my wife. So we got a place in London. That was our first property that we bought together. That was a project that we called home.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was just renting.
So you and Jess bought your first home together in London. Do you mind sharing whereabouts in London? What did you buy?
It was in kind of just off Clapham Common.
Okay. And was it an apartment?
It was a house.
It was a house?
Previous to that, I was in a flat, rented accommodation, and I lived with my brother-in-law, best mate, for a couple of years, just around the corner from the training ground. But first place Jess and I bought together was in just near Clapham. Okay,
cool. It's just quite interesting there that you said you married your best mate's sister. How did that go down?
Yeah, it was fine. It was good.
I
remember when I told him And then when kind of we were speaking about it, he was like, well, at least I get good presents for the rest of my life. So that was his bonus.
Fair play. I mean, look, you and I have recently bought somewhere together. I mean, when we say bought together, I've just helped you buy it. And we helped you buy a holiday home, didn't we? What I loved about this place in Cornwall was the private beach was unbelievable. The road was stunning, but we actually explored the fact that we could actually knock this plot down, couldn't we? And actually rebuild it in the future. I think at the time we saw a place that was rebuilt, similar, actually a smaller plot than yours, gone under offer at like 4.2 million it was literally a few days, wasn't it, from memory? So we always had that little bit of a comfort blanket, knowing full well that, look, if you want to do something like this, I mean, there's just so much equity. Yeah. We won't release what we bought that for, but what made you consider a holiday home investment?
For us, obviously looking at it, it was something that we saw potential with. Like you said there was a few different options that you could do to the property if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. The reason behind it was, in some ways, we wanted a place that we could create our own memories as well as a family. So, for me and for Jess growing up and for our families, a lot of our holidays and fondest memories were times when we were in the UK and went, down to the West Country, being on the water. We used to go down to kind of Woolacombe and those sort of areas. Jess used to go down to Salcombe before Salcombe was what it is now. And there's some of our fondest memories going along those sort of coastlines. So we wanted a place that we could create something for ourselves and lasting memories for the family, for our little one, and for hopefully many more children to come in the future. For Jess's side and for my side of the family, we're all very close, and we wanted to, have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
As well as obviously having a property that was going to create an income, an income stream post football going forward.
Yeah. Well, I think just with, looking at holidays now in the UK, they're becoming so popular. I know Jess had some friends that lived in the area, and you and I did some research, and we had managed to find a holiday rental company that announced some of the prices that were actually quite mind-blowing of what they could actually rent your place out for on the weeks or the weekends or even months that you're actually not going to use it. Is that still something you're going to consider doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're kind of going under some minor touch-ups currently down there, and then it'd be something that we look to kind of rent out as a holiday let. But really for us as well, it's about maximising the time that we can go down there and enjoy it. I think when the kids are older, certainly during the school holidays, etc., we've got a place that we can go down and spend time there.
We've had more inquiries recently, actually, about buying holiday homes, log cabins, pods. Is that something that you would ever consider doing yourself in the future because of the demand for holiday stays in the UK, staycations as we call it now?
So. Bar the weather at times, we've got one heck of a country. You don't have to go very far to see some, of the world's greatest coastlines. So I think, the demand will always be there. It's from people in the UK or from people outside of the UK, because there's some pretty spectacular places, right on our doorsteps.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, actually. Do you mind sharing with us how many properties that you have and what your plans are in terms of further investment?
Yeah, I think today, including our home, we have 7 kind of small properties that have been acquired over the years, and are kind of nice little rentals that kind of take care of themselves.
Yeah, and are those properties in your name, or did you set up a property company?
So the early ones were kind of outside of a property, or personally, and then the more recent ones, we formed a little company for any purchases going forward, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of players like yourself, Joel, do exactly the same. I think because it's just that lack of understanding and knowledge that you commonly buy properties as an investment without realising it would be more tax efficient to buy it in a property company. But also, I think a lot of players become accidental landlords because they buy homes for themselves and then move and think, well, actually, I'll keep that. but then they rent it out. But then you've got to just work out, well, is it going to be a good long-term asset for yourself, or actually would it be worth selling it and reinvesting it in other ways and re-injecting that money into more property through your property company? But they're always the good, enjoyable conversations that we can continue to have on the way from training.
Exactly. And I think,
until we could have them on the golf course.
Just saying that word golf. Just like,
I know. Saying that, it's bloody freezing at the moment, but we will get out there very soon. I reckon in about 4 to 6 weeks' time.
I'm a firm believer, though. There's no such thing as bad weather.
No.
Bad, right? So just wrap up warm, stick your thermals on, your long johns, get out there.
It's all about layers. Joel, I know you're a very proud family man. I've met Jess through Zoom many a time. I see your little boy on social media changing by the week. You've got a lovely house in Surrey. Can you tell me more about that process? Because I think a lot of sports people that want to live in sought after areas find it difficult to find that right place at the right price through the right people. Can you explain what your experience was?
Pretty straightforward for us.
All right. Well, just ruined my question.
We kind of flirted with the idea of moving out from London, just purely because I think, for us, we grew up on the South Coast, and, obviously Jess in her early years actually grew up in London, but she moved down to the South Coast not long after. So down there, we always had the space. I grew up with the South Downs and the water on the doorstep. So it was always something, we wanted to be a little bit more out of the hustle and bustle, but still within reach. And obviously with training and everything like that, I need to be in a location that I can get to and from training relatively easily. So for us, it was, a place that ticked the boxes. We kind of saw it and kind of thought, okay, this is a great place where we can put down our roots and, God willing, start a family. And that came to fruition not long after, with the arrival of our little boy Benjamin. So, which has been a real joy and something that, I think probably really, if I can say it, is, the best moment of my life.
Yeah.
Is seeing that little boy, bringing that little boy into the world.
Yeah, I know that is for you, mate. I'm going to go back to when you were at Portsmouth, but this is the same question for Crystal Palace. I know you're a big fan of what we do and the educational workshops that we provide. Did you personally ever get any property advice from the club or any external companies, I guess, like ourselves, that can come in and provide these sort of life skill experiences for you and help develop that experience in property at Portsmouth or Palace?
No, not particularly, no. However, I think we've obviously spoken on our, like you mentioned before, many and various phone calls.
We do.
I wish there was that. And that brings me on to, obviously, what you guys are doing is incredible, because you're creating a community for, players and not just footballers, but other people in sport who can kind of educate themselves and learn from the likes of yourself, but also from other players and sportsmen who maybe have made mistakes or have done really, really well. So, and there's a lot of people to lean on through the community that you're building. So I wish there was that from an earlier age. Personally, I think it would, certainly help, or would have certainly helped me plan and put more of a concrete plan in place from a younger age, as opposed to kind of not necessarily playing catch up, but kind of making it secure as you get a little bit older.
I think looking at your profile, you've obviously gone through the academy system into the first team quite quickly, immediately out on loan with the view of going straight into the first team at a Premier League level. How important is player liaisons to a Premier League club? I
think very. I think they're a voice and someone that you can lean on. I think obviously they can open up avenues and doors that, and conversations that can benefit you as a player. Obviously, I think you're always going to get people that you kind of click with and trust more and more. So I think it's important that that person is someone that you can lean on and rely on and actually can take players under their wing.
I agree. I mean, we work with a few clubs and their player liaison team just to try and share their responsibility, I guess, a little bit when it comes to a new player coming to a club where they might need temporary accommodation or explore buying their own home. I know you recently recommended me to a first team player, and we're looking at maybe buying them their first home. But I guess the reason why we built the academy, which I know you're a member of, is to try and teach sports people to become better buyers, whether it's for a home, whether it's for an investment, whether they do it with us, whether they do it on their own. I guess constant debate, battle, I'm not too sure what the right word is, but education does tend to kind of stop at under 23 level. I've done talks with the 23s at Crystal Palace. I'm doing a webinar workshop with Aston Villa tomorrow with the under 23s. Do you think that it would be welcomed to have these workshops with first team players?
Yeah, I certainly think it would. Whether that's as part of a group, I'm not too sure, but certainly as individuals, it would make sense. I think, at times, like you said, it kind of stops when you get to a certain age, and then you're kind of out there to fend for yourself in some respects. So to have people that you can, trust and rely on is invaluable. And someone that, you can pick up the phone, even if it's just as a sounding board, that's there to help you. Because I think we've all heard of stories and horror stories where, these people are here to help, but it hasn't quite turned out that way. And certain things have gone astray or got lost in translation. So it's really important to have people around you, but also the education side of things is so important because, the more knowledge you know, the more chances you've got of getting it right instead of kind of hitting the stumbling blocks on a regular basis. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, in light of your buying experience, I mean, you did fantastically well buying at such a young age. You've bought a property that you've done up. You've bought a home at such a young age. You've now got a portfolio of 7. What would you say to any young professional who's about to experience maybe life-changing money in the coming years? What would you say to them about entering into the property industry and start to think about building up a property portfolio for themselves and maybe help with their career after football or rugby or cricket or whatever it might be?
I think as long as they, do it correctly and seek the advice and actually, learn what they're doing, then, it's a no-brainer, to come alongside you guys or, people that they can trust is so important to make sure that they have a plan in place, that they kind of make sure that their future is taken care of, because players, I guess, can get to a certain age and then go, right, okay, well, I've got maybe a few years left of playing. What can I do to secure, or what am I going to step into? If you're balanced from a young age, then, you can potentially walk into something that has been, having a snowball effect for many years. And I think there will always be lessons along the way. There's always risks, but everything you do is a calculated risk anyway, and you've got to weigh up all those things. And I think going on the journey with someone or with people is the most important thing as well.
Yeah, no, definitely.
We've spoken about it before, whatever we've done. And, I've done things and I've got things in the pipeline that I'd like to do, but it's about also going on the journey with people who see the same as you, make a difference, or kind of put things in place that, are going to help and support the family going forward.
Definitely. Well, Mr. Ward, I've thoroughly enjoyed our podcast today. Thank you for everything that you've done for us, mate. Your support has been invaluable. I'm glad you joined the academy. I'm glad you're learning more. I know you're a keen enthusiast about property and learning and reinvesting in yourself. So look, we're delighted to have you on board. And good luck for the rest of the season. And I think I can probably say on behalf of all your Crystal Palace fans, make sure you get that contract sorted as soon as possible, please.
Thanks, Lee. It's good to be on, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, mate.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Talk Sport and Property. Visit the App Store and download the MPH Sports app today, or keep up with us over on Instagram.